do I recommend this book? Firstly, I recommend it because of its author, Chris Oyahilome, DSc, DD. Dr. Oyahilome is a world-renowned pastor, and he has been able to build a ministry of about 3 million followers worldwide. That is, about 3 million and counting people call him their leader. They call him their father, their mentor, their coach. And the first thing that comes to mind, 3 million are following one man, hanging on to his every word. Then he is worth listening to and making up my mind about what he has to say. You see, because 3 million volunteers is no mean feat. He doesn't pay them. They are not on a salary. They are not paid to follow him, except that the things he has said and the things he has done have benefited them. 3 million all over the world. So I take Dr. Oyahilome's book and I begin to read. And The Power of Your Mind is a tremendous read. Not just because of what is within it, but because of its practicality. The things you read in it, it's not just a theory, but they are easy to practice. And these things are what I will be talking to you today, because this book has literally turned my life around. And as we look at it and as I talk to you, it will turn your life around also. In this book, The Power of Your Mind, there are certain things that it tells you. What jumps out, firstly, is what it starts with. Now, a lot of people see the Bible more as a book of laws, do's and don'ts for conservatives, do's and don'ts for people who are concerned about getting to heaven. But by the time you read The Power of Your Mind, you find that the Bible is more of a success motivation manual. It shows you how to succeed. And this is one of the eye-openers. You see, The Power of Your Mind explains the Bible in such easy to understand steps. Firstly, it tells us about Romans in chapter 12, verses 2 and 3. And then it tells you something. Number one, that it is possible to transform your life. To transform your life. Romans 12, verses 2 and 3. And he explains it. The Bible says there that you should be renewed in your mind so that you will be transformed in your life. That is what that verse says. There are many people who want to transform their life. I wanted to transform my life. You see, the transformation that the Bible is talking about, according to Pastor Chris, is like that of a butterfly. You see, when a butterfly is a larva, and when it transforms to pupa, it doesn't look anything like a butterfly. There is a complete metamorphosis. There is a complete change. The caterpillar, as a butterfly is ugly. It's one of the ugliest creatures. Ugly. You don't even want to touch it. Unsightly. But by the time the butterfly comes out from the pupa stage, it comes out from its shell, it's one of the most beautiful creatures in the world. That means there's hope. And when I read this book, I thought to myself, there's hope for me. I can make a change of my life. And so, first of all, I began to understand that the reason why there's no change in my life is not because I don't pray enough. It is not because I'm not a good person. It is not because I'm a bad person. It is not because of things I do or things I don't do, or maybe it's my destiny. It has to do with my mind. With my mind. I can transform. I can change. Now, primarily, I'm a pastor. I pastor a congregation. And one thing I've always wanted to do, even though I'm in a city, I really want to touch the world. I want to affect the world. Affecting the world is paramount in my mind. Then I'm always been passionate about the poor. And thirdly, I've always been passionate about teaching. Now, these were things that I was not doing. I have not been able to do it. But as I began to read, I discovered that the reason I am the way I am was because of my mind. My mind. If I am frustrated, I have a frustrated mind. If I'm unhappy, I have an unhappy mind. If I'm sad and depressed, I have a sad and depressed mind. If I'm in debt, I have an indebted mind. If I am, no matter what I am, it has to do with my mind. It has to do with my mind. This was the first powerful lesson that I received. It didn't have to do with the economy. It didn't have to do with my parentage. It didn't have to do with my education. It didn't have to do with my location. It had to do with my mind. And so, as I went into this book, I'd made up my mind for something. I'm going to use my mind to change my life. Because it was so exciting. I didn't have to go back to school to do a master's degree. I didn't have to go back to school to do an MBA. I didn't have to relocate from my city. I didn't have to move from Africa. I didn't have to move to the capital city of my country. All I had to do was literally change my mind. Because once I changed my mind, my life would change automatically. It's a sequence. Change my mind and change my life. And that is the same thing for you. Look at me today. You are watching me. I am talking to you by video. I'm talking to you by the internet. I mean, how did I get to this point that I'm able to do this with you? My church has more than doubled. We have multiple locations. We're acquiring more property for church, landed property for church, opening new facilities, pioneering more churches. What's more, we are doing more all over the world, reaching more people. You see, and something that was so exciting, that made me realize I am not the head of my ministry. I am under Pastor Chris, actually. I'm one of his pastors. But I didn't have to go and start my own ministry to be able to do these things. My income has more than tripled. Tripled is even an understatement. It is even an understatement. I found it all had to do with my mind. First thing, number one, to transform my life, I have to identify what kind of mind I have. And to identify the kind of mind I have, I just have to look at the kind of life I have right now. You see, it didn't matter whether I was born again, filled with the Holy Spirit. I knew so much about God's word. I knew so many things about the Spirit. But I had to put that all aside and say, hey, Titi, where are you now? Where is your life based now? Are you frustrated? Then it has to do with your mind. Are you unhappy? It has to do with your mind. It is your mind. It is your mind. Start with your mind. Start with your mind. Your mind, Pastor Chris said in this book, you are the expression of your mind. It's easy to blame the economy. It's easy to blame your city. It's easy to blame your spouse or your lack of a spouse. It's easy to blame your education or lack of education, opportunities, financial opportunities, or the lack of it. It's easy to have so many reasons. But the reason that really counts, according to Romans chapter 12, verses, in fact from verse 1 to verse 3, the reason that really counts is your mind. What kind of mind do you have? Let me tell you a thought that even came to me as I was reading The Power of Your Mind, and that your mind, you are the expression of your mind. Everything in life goes through renewal. You are issued a driver's license by the government. After a number of years, you have to renew your license. If not, it expires. When you go to the store to buy a carton of milk, there is an expiry date on the carton of milk. After that date, you can't drink that milk again. Foods you buy, there is an expiry date. Even the software in your phones, there is an expiry date. That is why different applications on your phone are renewed. They are always being renewed. There's always a new version that is coming up. What about your mind?